So there's some dangers though to isolation. While we understand the desire to do so and the safety that's in that, there's some dangers here, right? Emotional exhaustion of carrying all that just yourself and not being able to talk to anybody else or share with anybody else will lead to burnout. It will lead to burnout.
What's up? Welcome to another episode of the Futures Here podcast. I'm Tommy Nixon. I'm here with Robert Boydis, and we're here to teach you the principles you need to lead this next generation.
Yes, sir.
So today we are going to be talking about, what are we talking about?
We're talking about how lonely it can be at the top.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be.
But it doesn't have to be.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think leaders are always talking about how lonely it is to be in leadership, especially if you're leading at the top of an organization or you're the lead pastor of a church. I mean, there's been a lot of conversation around that. And although it may be true, we know that isolation isn't just lonely. We believe that they're experiencing that.
Yeah.
But it's also pretty dangerous. Because that's what leads to burnout, leads to poor decisions, could lead to spiritual drift. So, Tommy, I think today we want to talk about how, as a leader, can you stay connected, can you stay accountable, and do all that while carrying the weight of the responsibility of leadership that you've been given.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is, as someone who's kind of been in that top seat for either what I've started or, kind of came into this place, it's been like 24 years. This is it's really close to my heart because one, I've fought over the last 24 years to not isolate, but there is a space where you just feel like no one gets it. And it gets really a small group of people that could understand or can commiserate or can be like, no, I totally understand that. And that's the danger, because then you start feeling sorry for yourself. You have a victim mentality. You isolate because no one gets me. And I think what makes it even harder is being in the urban space, coming from trauma and having it is compounded, because then you feel like really no one gets this.
Yeah. Because
maybe you share, I've seen leaders do this, I've done this. You share with a business person who wants to fund your ministry or whatever, and you're kind of like lamenting all this stuff, and they're like, you just need to, you know what you need to do? You just need to get out there and work harder, and they don't get it, and so then it feels even more defeating. You kind of spiral out, and then you're like, no one gets me, and you just kind of are brooding in your own little dark corner. And that's a super dangerous place. And I think that's where the enemy takes hold. That's where our sinful nature can take hold. That's where you start, what do we call it, Robert, when you medicating, right?
Yeah. Self-medication.
Self-medication. And that's the part that gets really difficult.
I think and I don't have any research on this and not done any analysis on this, but I would venture to bet that most leaders who isolate do so because they've actually had a bad experience trying to be honest and transparent.
Oh, yeah.
And it didn't work out well. And so they're like, see, I knew it. I can't tell anybody about this, right? But that goes to the idea that maybe you weren't sharing or journeying with the right person as opposed to anybody in general, right?
And we say this say this a lot, but 3 things that you have control over, right? So it's your actions, your decisions, your perspective, and then who you trust.
Yeah.
And what we want to say is when those 3, you learn from the mistakes of that. And so you shared with somebody and they just shot you down, or they weren't safe, or that doesn't mean that you don't trust anyone ever. It's just you learn from it and you grow.
Well, let's talk about why it does feel isolating, because we do, again, want to acknowledge to leaders that we understand it. We get it.
Totally.
We understand it's the feelings that you have are valid. That feeling of nobody gets me, I understand it. But why it feels isolated, first of all, is there is a truth that other people in your organization especially, but maybe even others around you, don't carry the same weight as you do.
Yeah, I know.
There's a huge weight and responsibility. Like I think about you all the time, Tommy, and having to carry the financial fundraising weight of the organization, the vision of the organization, the mission. Like that's a huge responsibility. Because at the end of the day, the rest of us can just be like, hey man, peace out.
Or like, Dad, Tommy just messed up.
Good luck with that, brother. You know what I mean? Like oh man, you're struggling? Okay, I feel for you, but you know what? I'm out. So that is true. There is a truth to the fact that others don't carry the same weight. And so that makes us feel like, wow, I can't really, nobody really gets this, right? Confidentiality a lot of times does limit what you can share, especially as, lead pastors or pastors get told a lot of confidential information. And sometimes they have to carry that burden of that, whatever that other couple, that other person is going through.
Yeah.
And they can't feel like they can't share that with anybody. And then also let's just be honest. People put pressure on you to look a certain way, to be strong, to be composed, right? To be together.
Yes.
And that expectation can be like, okay, well, I have to meet that. And so I can't really tell anybody that I'm not feeling that way.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Before we continue, if you like the show and want to continue to support us, the free and simple way to do that is to simply subscribe. And so we'll do our best to continue to create content to help you in your leadership. That's a big one. I will say, let me shape that to kind of nuance for me. Personality wise, depending on how God has made you, how you've been shaped or formed and deformed. For me, it is less about that.
Okay.
I care a little bit less about if people perceive me a certain way. It's still there. That's a true thing. You know where a majority of this comes from for me is my internal pressure. And I was reading some things about attachment theory and all that. And like, if you grow up a certain way, your inner critic voice is extremely loud.
Yeah.
And mine is, you have to survive, Tommy. Do not be weak. So for some of us, it's less about, you could be out there like, man, I don't care what so-and-so says or that. And that might be true. But internally, my internal voice is like, you better gear up, man. Like, hey, don't be weak. So the pressure that's coming from inside of me is so much greater than what I feel on the outside. And I think it's going to be some type of ratio for that, for all leaders, right? But that's a big one for me.
It's funny. In some ways, I wonder, because I experience that to some extent, in that there are a lot of spaces I feel like, my inner voice is like, oh, you don't belong here.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Right? But I have to keep up appearances, right? Because I am in leadership. I'm considered a leader. I often wonder, though, Tommy, man, what would my life be like if I hadn't taken on leadership? If I had just been just a producer, just head down, do my work, I think I'd be happier.
I mean, it's funny. There's parts of me that I've daydreamed about that throughout the years, but ultimately what gets me is a sense of purpose. I go, yeah, that 9-to-5 job where I just clock in, clock out, maybe I'd do it for just a little while and feel like, oh, cool, I'm not dealing with the stress. But it's just not who God's made me to be. There's a purpose thing for me that I'm like, I got to get there. So
yeah. And I've actually tried it.
Yeah.
I've tried it, and it doesn't work.
It doesn't work for you.
It doesn't work.
Well, thank God.
I know. Well, it's like once you've seen the light, like it's hard to go back into the darkness, Sorry, not that 9-to-5 people are in darkness.
Oh,
That's
no,
not at all what I'm trying
and
to
you
say.
can lead in those spaces. What I was saying, for me, I'm like, I feel the pressure of all this, and sometimes I just want to go, don't bother me, I clock in, I produce this thing, and I'm out. But yeah.
So there's some dangers, though, to isolation. While we understand the desire to do so and the safety that's in that, there's some dangers here, right? Emotional exhaustion of carrying all that just yourself and not being able to talk to anybody else or share with anybody else will lead to burnout. It will lead to burnout.
It will, dude.
Also, unchecked decision making leads to blind spots. If you're not sharing the struggle about decisions with anybody else, if you're like, wow, nobody's going to understand this, I just have to make this decision myself, you're going to have a lot of blind spots. And when people do try to speak into that, you're going to feel attacked because you haven't really been feeling safe enough to share that with anybody else. Yeah. And then the last thing is that spiritual dryness can lead to disconnection from God and from others. I think we're seeing this a lot.
I've seen this my whole life with people.
Well, yes, I don't doubt that this has always happened. I'm saying I think maybe
but you
social
think
media
right
is
now
exposing
it's even more,
it. Yeah, I think we're seeing this. I mean, there's so many people that we're leading in the Christian space that are falling away. Yeah. And again, it's all because of that spiritual dryness. They're feeling like, I don't know if I really believe all this stuff anymore. It didn't work for me, like all of this stuff, right? And it's what it does is it leads to disconnecting from all of the people that were with you, but in reality, it wasn't with you, right? I had a conversation with somebody saying, well, I don't understand because like we were in community. we were around people. We were around people all the time. Like, yeah, it's different to just be around people than to actually be in community.
Yeah.
Because it's in community there's a reciprocal thing there where you're caring for people deeply and you're asking the hard questions and they're sharing, but you're also doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And it can't be one-sided. That's not really being in community. If you're the one that's always, the one helping everybody else, but you're not really ever sharing.
Right. Yeah.
That's not really
it's a static directional instead of dynamic. Yep.
But there's a reality here. Psalm 142:4. Man, I don't know. When I read this, like, you can sense the loneliness of leadership in David. David says, "Look and see, there is no one at my right hand. No one is concerned for me. I have no refuge. No one cares for my life." Like, that's the real pit of despair.
Yeah. Pit of despair.
For a leader, right? Where everybody has abandoned him. There's that loneliness of leadership. So again, we get it. We understand the desire to isolate, but God designed leadership, I think, also for community and to be carried out in community and not to be carried out alone.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd add to that a theological framework, which we teach in all of our certification courses and our leadership development, is that John 15, Jesus says, "You can do nothing apart from me." Right? Yeah. My prayer most days are, I can only do what I can do. I can do nothing apart from you. Help me not want to. And that's that sense of isolation, like it's all on me. I've got to do it. But if Jesus is like, my yoke is easy, my burden is light, there's got to be a different way. And that way is that leadership is designed to be carried in community, not alone, and in community with God. If you're co-creating with the creator of the universe, what are we so worried about? Like, you think he's just going to be like, yeah, good luck with that. Yeah. And so we carry this undue responsibility that's not on me. There's a weird paradox there where it's my responsibility, but I carry that responsibility with the creator of the universe.
Yeah.
So everything's going to be okay. What is the relationship there? And that's what we were trying to teach. So what's needed to avoid isolation?
Yeah, this is important because we want to give you some things. We obviously, again, we understand the pull and the desire to isolate, but here's how you can not isolate. To be, first and foremost, be very intentional about relationships. Don't wait for community to find you. You have to go pursue community. You have to seek out trusted people who understand the weight of leadership along with you. But here's the thing. You have to be honest with them. You have to be willing to be transparent. You said earlier that, or in another podcast, actually, I think, as you said, you have to find trustworthy people that you can do life with. Yeah. And so that's really important as a leader. Don't just assume they're not out there. They are out there. I was just in a group of people, and the person who was speaking is a really well-known leader. And they had shared that they realized that they were starting to feel this way. And so they found three people that he would meet once a month for just an hour, once a month. And then once a year, they would get together on a little retreat and they would pray for each other and encourage each other and share with each other. And he did that consistently year after year. And the weight that this person carries, said, I would not be able to carry that weight of leadership and deal with the things I've had to deal with if not for these three guys.
Wow.
So again, it doesn't have to be 20 people that you're sharing all of this stuff with. Just find a few trusted peers who understand what it is that you're going through and who care for you and can love you through that stuff.
Let me make it even more simple for you leaders out there, because we see this a lot. You need a few friends. Because we see a lot of you out there, you're doing God's work. You're pouring everything you need into all these students, into these communities, into your staff, into your young staff. You've created this really great thing, and you have no friends. You don't have friends. You don't have anybody that can call you out. You don't hang out with anybody. If all your friends are your youth or the youth that have come through what you do, that's great. Beautiful. You need other friendships. You need peers. You need people that are going to challenge you and love you and check in on you. You need people that you're not doing ministry to.
Yeah. But I think it is important that it's people who understand the weight you're carrying.
Totally.
Because you can have a bunch of friends
Yeah.
that are just, in other spaces and whatever, and you can enjoy time with them. But if you don't feel like you could really share and they can understand, that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're talking about a core. I think in one of our other podcasts, we said, go deep with a few, but be genuine with everyone else.
Yeah.
Right. So we're talking about those intentional, trusted people that you can actually be vulnerable with, and who are willing to challenge you when they see stuff, like call you out on your mess. Like, hey man, I saw what you posted the other day. Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, that's not good.
I had a good friend. We've been talking about our marriages, and just, hey, how are you doing? All that. And they texted me something that concerned me. I said, what do you mean by that? Are you thinking about bouncing? Like, what does that mean? Right. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, no, this is what I meant by, and so you got to check in, because you're like, wait, what do you mean? Second, spiritual rhythms. Now, this gets thrown out a lot. There's books on this, and there's, my spiritual rhythms. The reality is I've been on spiritual rhythms for 25 years plus, 30, maybe even when I was in high school. The reason I'm big on that is because I think that people are full of crap. You have so many pastors out there that don't spend any time with God. They talk about spiritual dryness. What are your spiritual rhythms, and are they in your calendar? Are they daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, year? Like, what is it that you're actually doing?
Outside of sermon prep.
Outside of sermon prep, outside of the work that you do. What is your plan to actually grow deeper in relationship and presence of God? And there's thousands of years of Christians doing this. Like, you have to anchor yourself in that, and you have to make time for it. Please, you know what I don't like too? I'll get on a little soapbox. I don't like when people are like, oh yeah, dude, I always pray in the car. Cool, man. That could be a great rhythm. If that's all you ever do, I liken it to, if I only spoke to my wife when we were in the car together traveling from one place to another, how deep would my relationship with her be? It wouldn't. So don't just give God these scraps. Make time for him in your daily life.
Yeah.
And be disciplined. And when you go a couple of days and you're like, shoot, I haven't been on it, get back on it. It's like, this will root you.
Yeah.
And eventually you'll start to see, man, when you don't have these lifelines, these rhythms in your life, and you start being like, why do I feel so like no one understands me? I feel so isolated when I'm feeling bad for all this stuff. I go, how's your spiritual rhythms? It is a direct correlation. They haven't been good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
let me ask you a thought about it.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever talked about this, but usually when we bring up spiritual rhythms, we're talking about spiritual rhythm with God.
Yeah.
Right. But I feel like yes, that's the first
totally,
thing.
that's it. Yeah.
But then I think there have to be spiritual rhythms that you practice with others, like with your wife,
Prayer.
your husband, right?
Yeah.
Prayer, like those kinds of things. And then with others as well.
Retreats.
And relationship,
Yeah.
retreats. So when we're talking about spiritual rhythms, it's not just like, oh, these are my spiritual rhythms, but it's also spiritual rhythms in community with others.
Yeah.
Because that's where a lot of times things will get exposed, things will come out, and you'll feel supported as well.
Absolutely. I mean, tonight I'll be with our neighborhood Bible study, and that's a spiritual rhythm for us. So what does that look like for you? And
I think yes. I think what I'm realizing is that sometimes when we talk about spiritual rhythms, do you think it's like my individual rhythm with God?
Yeah.
And I'm saying
there's a corporate aspect.
There's a corporate aspect to it too, that we have to, lean into those rhythms also.
Absolutely. Third is really just healthy accountability.
Yeah.
And I mean, we talk so much about this, but I believe, one, you got to say something 7 times for somebody to even get it. And by the time you and I are tired of talking about something, people are finally starting to hear it. So healthy accountability.
Yeah.
What does
just
that
have
mean?
people who can ask you the hard questions. Have people who can check in on you. Have people that you have given permission to be this way with you.
So don't assume that people know. You've got to explicitly go, hey, I just want to let you know, you have full rights to call me out and speak. You have to actually say those words. It's like a verbal contract.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, in our marriage counseling and marriage conversations that we have with couples, this is one of the things that we actually talk about is accountability with each other. Because maybe you wouldn't be surprised at the number of couples who don't give each other permission to hold each other accountable.
Yeah, because there's just defensiveness.
And so you can never really speak up about something that's hurtful or whatever because you haven't given permission. So healthy accountability requires intentional permission that you give the other person to speak into your life.
That's huge. And I think too, there's the concentric circles of this. Same with intentional relationships. Like, there's just different type. You build out those concentric circles of those who are really close to you. Those people you're honest with. So you can build that out. I would also just say write it down. That'll be a really interesting make those circles and be like, who are in these circles?
Who are these people?
So, next, really just humility to seek support. I struggle with this, dropping this myth of invincibility. I'm like the leader. I'm supposed to know everything. No, you don't. Are you kidding me? How are you supposed to grow with that kind of mindset? So strong leaders know when to ask for help. I have levels to this because I have no problem asking for certain types of help. But there's other types of help that I just go, it makes me feel so weak and lame. I need help. And doing that, it's interesting when you live a certain way and you're giving and you're leading people well, people are really, dude, I'd love to help you. What do you need? And they're there for you. So that's actually a really big one.
Yeah, that one's really hard for me as well, Tommy, because I'm usually the person that people go to for help. Yeah. And, that's a dangerous place because when I'm always the one that people are reaching out to for help, it can make me feel like, well, I can't ask for help because people are always asking me for help.
Right.
Like I have to be the one who has all the answers and all that. And I've just, in the last few years, I think have been better about saying, no, you know what? I can ask for help too. But here's the thing. I have to be really intentional and clear about who I'm going to ask for help from. Because I don't want it to just be like, oh, you know what? I should ask for help too. And then, ask for help from somebody who's not really capable of giving me that help, but I'm just doing it that I say I.
And then you could be like, see, no one can help me. Right. And so there's a confirmation bias there that we'll do to.
So it has to be somebody that you really, again, trust, that you respect, that is going to tell you even what you don't want to hear sometimes. And that's who you want to go seek help from.
Yeah, man. Next is just, this is beyond the spiritual. I mean, all these are actually really important. For some reason, this one's highlighted for me. I think this is really important.
Talk about that.
You got to set boundaries. Your ability to say no to things that you shouldn't be doing, to false responsibility, I'll call it, is paramount to you not feeling burned out or isolating yourself. I can hear this in my own mind, and I know it's in yours. Well, it won't get done if I don't do it. Like, I asked somebody to do it, they messed up, they didn't do it right. See, again, confirmation bias where you're already like, no one can do what I can do. I'm the only one. It's all on me. If I fail, this whole thing fails. One, there's a lot of theological issues with that. Two, there's a faith journey issue with that. Three, it means you're actually a poor leader, which you got to deal with, right? Like if it's all on you all the time, like one, you don't understand your giftings or those around you. You haven't listened at all to our podcast, and that bothers me.
Well, we actually, let's plug one of our other podcasts. Yeah. We have a podcast called The Power of No, where we talk about why it's so important to say no and how your no protects your yes. Anyway, it has a lot of good stuff, so we encourage you to go back, search through our YouTube channel or wherever you get our podcast and look for The Power of No. That is a really powerful episode that will help you set proper boundaries.
So let me frame it this way too. If you're going to do intentional relationships, spiritual rhythms, have healthy accountability, and have that humility to seek the support, you're going to have to say no to things because all of those
that's true.
Take time.
Yeah.
And it's time and energy bound. Even the humility to seek support. Because if you work yourself to the bone, you don't even have the energy to ask for help, right? Like I've been in those spaces before where I'm like, I can't even, it feels like the 800-pound phone to pick up for me to go, Robert, I need your help. Because I just want to go, I give up, right? And I'm isolated and you're just sitting in a pity party. It's not good. All of that takes time and energy. If you're not saying no, you won't ever receive enough energy back to reboot your energy. And then you won't have the time to do these other things that are so important. Right now, I know if you're feeling isolated, you're not giving any time to this other stuff.
Oh, no. Yeah.
That mindset where it's all on me all the time, you are going to kill yourself. And you're too much of a gift for that to happen.
Yeah.
And that might be some of the problem. You don't see yourself that way, right? You're trying to punish yourself or work yourself to heaven. It's not necessary. So setting boundaries is actually really, really huge. You have to learn to say no. And that comes down to strategy and understanding your giftedness. Lastly,
man, yeah, regularly monitor what we call your emotional dashboard. So there has to be a way for you to know, are you okay?
Yeah.
Am I okay? And I know, again, I was in a conversation recently with some leaders, and they asked this question. They said, hey, how do you know, like, what are the red flags for you, or even the yellow flags for you that you're getting to this place? And I think if you really pay attention to your body, first and foremost, your body knows before anything else does. Yeah. Your body will admit to the fact that you're stressed or under anxiety or in isolation before your mind and your heart will. Yeah. And so we have to monitor our emotional dashboard. For me, I know that when I get really stressed, I begin to have certain twitches and tics that happen. And I'm like, oh, okay, when that starts to happen, I have to pause and go, wait, what's happening to me right now? Why am I feeling that? Yeah. And sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of times I'll have to have that conversation either with my wife or with somebody like, hey, here's how I'm feeling. What do you think's going on? I've had to ask my wife, like, hey, I don't feel stressed, but clearly my body's feeling some kind of way. And they're like, oh, well, then they start listing all these things, and I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I've been overbooking myself and so I have to change my habits at that point.
Which is tough because that's where it takes humility to be like, man, I'm not as invincible as I thought, or I'm not as young as I used to be, or I used to have a lot more energy. What's going on with that, right? Like, it's the check engine light. You got to start understanding that what are the lights, check engine lights, the barometer to say, ooh, something's changing. What's going on? Last couple of days I've been pretty stressed. And so how that's like right now, I'm sitting in this chair. I have a knot in my back. Mm-hmm. I woke up early this morning. I just was like, oh, I ate something wrong. Like it's just that stress is living in my body. And then I realized, I go, shoot, I haven't been on my rhythms. I didn't spend my time with the Lord this morning, right? I got to catch up on that. I didn't work out. I didn't drink my water. I didn't take my vitamin. Like today's kind of been kind of terrible, right?
Yeah.
And that's because I'm like, oh, when I start feeling no one understands me, when I start getting bitter, I've been getting a little bitter lately, like at other institutions and at other leaders that I'm like, God, come on. Like we're so much better than this. And we're not catching, getting the scratch that they like, that ingratitude, all barometers.
Bitterness, yeah.
So that's where I go, oof, okay, I got to give myself some time, reset, go back to my rhythms, and go through this process again. I called my best friend, Steve, yesterday. And it was funny because the brother answered and he's like, it's so early. I'm like, no, it's not. He's only a couple hours ahead of me. He's in London right now. Oh. And he answered at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, man.
But that shows you that he's like, dude, are you okay?
Yeah, what kind of friend?
And I was like, oh, shoot, I forgot you're in London. And he prayed for me. I said, dude, I need help. Here's what's going on. Okay. Prayed for me. And I was like, yeah, go back to bed. You know what I mean? And so that's what that all looks like as an example. So
apparently he didn't set proper boundaries.
Right. Yeah. But I appreciate him answering, man. So anyway,
final thoughts, man. I think what we're trying to say here is that leadership without connection is dangerous. It's not something you were meant to do alone. God didn't design us as leaders to carry this weight by ourselves. First and foremost, God is there.
Yeah.
Right? So the minute we're like, okay, God, this is my responsibility, I have to carry it all, right away, that's disconnection. So stay connected, right? Abide in the vine, stay there. Apart from, we can do nothing. But then also reach out to build intentional relationships, develop this framework for accountability. And I want to call it a framework because it's not just an attitude, but it is a framework for how am I going to allow people to hold me accountable? And then spiritual rhythms, man, that's just non-negotiable. You got to stay into that. And, there's a reason why Jesus said, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every mouth that comes from the word of God. That's something daily that we have to be into. So not meant to walk this journey alone, isolated. Choosing connection is it's actually wisdom and humility. So make sure that you do not isolate, that you connect.
And here's the final thought for us as we wrap today is, even when you have all these things going on, it's still a fight.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing and what we're doing in the world matters. Like there is good and evil. And there's evil. The enemy wants to stop all this, wants to isolate you, wants to stop the movement that you're leading. So as you continue growing in that responsibility in the kingdom of God, it's going to be hard.
But now you're fully armored.
But you are going to end well. You are fighting the good fight. All the things that Scripture give us, makes a lot of sense. So please, just eyes wide open. Even when you're doing all these things, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
It just is. It's what it is, right? That's why sometimes we dream about that simple life. I'm not leading anybody. I'm not doing it. But listen, you're a leader. God's called you to it. We're called to lead. It's worth it. And there's a way to do it in a healthier way that will help you end well. So we hope that's been helpful to you. Make sure that you're subscribing. Man, share this, like it, comment. Let us know how we're doing. We love the feedback. We hope that you're not isolated as a leader. And if you are, there's a whole community here.
Yeah.
That we invite you into our community. Sign up. Go to our website, uywi.org. Sign up for the newsletter. Give us your email. We'll dial you in. Join a cohort. We'd love a leadership cohort.
Yeah.
You'll find a whole bunch of people just like you. You can journey together. And we'll see you guys on the next Futures Here podcast. Peace.